Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DESIGNathon. Today we have a important episode. I think it touches and affects everybody out there. I originally wanted to name this episode "What the Bleep is Going On with the Job Market," but out of respect for Joaquin, we didn't do that. Today we're going to be talking about what's going on out there, what you can do, how do you deal with so many changes and just the complete chaos of the job market right now. Manaz couldn't make it today, but we have the glorious Joaquin, one of my three of my favorite male human beings on the planet in one place today. Joaquin, you want to say hi?
Hi. Yeah, I'm Joaquin. No, I'm pleased to be here, Anne. I'm looking forward to learning a lot from Morgan and Stephen today. We produced that event in May 12th on becoming adaptive and creating opportunities for people to learn what it takes to be resilient and overcoming obstacles in today's dynamic, changing landscape of job demands, and things are being created, things are being taken away. But I'm very excited to learn from both of these experts, and I want to pass the mic over to them. Maybe they can give us a little bit of a self introduction. Stephen, would you like to start?
Yeah, happy to. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for having me. I know this has been a while in the works. I'm glad we finally get the group together. So a little bit of an intro. My name is Steven Steiner, and I am the founder of Career Coach for Designers. And I built Career Coach for Designers because I have been a designer my entire career, did what society told me to do, and then realized that middle management isn't for me. So after jumping off the corporate ladder, being an interim director, I created a place where it's helping designers tell their story to get paid what we want, to get paid to do what we want to do.
Thank you, Stephen. Morgan?
Hey, what's going on? Thank you all for having me on the show. I'm Morgan. I'm an executive director at a nonprofit called TechFleet, and I practice research and product management in the world. And I really believe in empowered team spaces and building empowered team spaces, and that's what I'm focusing my energy on these days. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Morgan. And I don't know if you want to say a few words on Tech Fleet as well. I mean, you speak so highly of it, and I hear great things as well.
Well,
yeah, and long-term vet of Tech Fleet.
Yes. I can't believe how many years it's been, Morgan. It's crazy how fast time flies. But I will say it's one of the only places you can get experience without experience, work on a team, be around, other designers and researchers, and it doesn't cost a dime. And the evolution of TechFleet has been amazing. I think over 10,000 people now, and just one of those very few places where you can go and actually get some hands-on without experience. I don't know how much of that really exists out in the world, and I think that Morgan's got his hands full trying to keep up with everything changing so fast. And he's just doing an amazing service for this community. And he really is philanthropic, I would say, in his willingness to give. And I don't think it's ever been needed more than it is now. I would love for Stephen and Morgan to just kind of, if you don't mind, give us a little bit for people who are just getting acquainted with what's going on out there in the job market. Can you guys just sort of speak to like an overview of what you think is happening, and then we'll dig into some deeper stuff?
Sure. Morgan, you want to start?
Yeah. I think that capitalism is happening out in the world, and it's gotten really, really one directional to the point of a lot of decisions being made that benefit not the people that are doing the work. And that's not anything new. It's just gotten a lot more extreme, I think, with the evolution of new tools that are available, and people can make conjectures about what's going on and why it's happening, but there are so many dumpster fires happening out in the professional world. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for people that have been trying to get into the tech industry or in the tech industry to evolve past just that industry itself because the world does need different types of like team-based problem solving and building products and services in other kinds of industries as well. Huge opportunity in my mind.
Stephen, what about you?
Yeah, from my perspective of what I see happening specifically in the design industry is it's similar to what Morgan was talking about. It's nuts. Like you have companies that are laying off tons of extremely quality talent. And then at the same time, they're thinking that modern or current technology is going to save the future. But what's really playing out is I anticipate a gap of people who haven't been able to earn their stripes in the traditional way. So by being able to look at things like Tech Fleet, where it's like, okay, you can get real world experience on real world projects before employers realize that they missed a gap of the next generation of talent to come through. And then at the same time, we're also seeing what was a massive boom of boot camps, being able to make money off the dream of going from a boot camp to a 6-figure job, going quiet. So being able to see like, okay, well, there's a lot of people who got sold on that dream and aren't able to get the outcome that they expected. So now we see a bunch of extremely talented, newer designers or newer professionals who are just trying to make it without the path that society has sold them is supposed to work.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack, and we have to really start at the beginning. And to me, it's one thing. It's the math of so many applicants, so few jobs. If it was reversed, we probably wouldn't even be having this conversation. If there were so many jobs and so few applicants, it would be a completely different conversation. And I find myself commenting on LinkedIn a lot, like, you realize the problem is just math, right? It's simple math. Too many people, not enough jobs. So how to get those jobs, I think step one really starts with that resume, and we were chatting about that a little bit. So the conflicting advice on LinkedIn is mind-blowing, Stephen. I know you're seeing a lot of it happening in real time in the real world. Can we dig into resumes for a minute? Because I just think we need to lay down some truth for some people so they can actually follow some good real world advice instead of just, LinkedIn banter. So can we unpack that a little bit?
Where do you want to start? Like, are we taking, where are we going?
I feel like there's these two completely different narratives on social media. Like, ATS is real. No, it's not real. It's knockout questions. You need to make all these. So just can we start by debunking some, or just at least addressing the ATS situation?
Sure. So absolutely. So where this is coming from my perspective, I used to be on the hiring side, and now that I'm not on the hiring side, I still work with recruiters often. So this is backed by people who are your audience, essentially, when you're applying for a job. And an ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. It is simply a system to track applicants. There is a human who set up their ATS preferences, and there's likely some sort of an algorithm on the other side that tries to cache if your resume is mathematically attractive to the role that they're trying to apply for. And to me, I see that as a math problem. And yes, there are some questions that they might ask you that are more radio buttons or checkboxes in advance that are there intentionally for a number of different reasons. One of them might be knockout questions. Right now, the state of the job market and the state of our politics are rough in the US, and being able to look at potentially sponsoring a person who needs corporate sponsorship is something that companies aren't willing to do. So yes, if you say you need sponsorship, you aren't a candidate for what they're looking for. That is a knockout question that you're not going to move forward with. It doesn't matter how talented you are, how beautiful your materials look. You don't meet their minimum criteria of what they need to be a candidate that they're willing to hire. So assuming you get through those initial questions, then the spot comes down to, does your resume make you appear like a movie trailer that's an attractive thing that people want to learn more about? And there are plenty of tools online. Jobscan.co is the one that I like the most. Being able to say, how does your resume stack up to their job description, and see if you're a fit. And that's where it comes down to tailoring your resume to use synonyms that you think you're saying the same thing, but a robot who is looking for keywords doesn't know synonyms necessarily. So the applicant tracking system is going in to say, I'm looking for these words. How good or how well do they use those words? And if you're not showing up well, you're not going to necessarily come through. There are some recruiters that I talk to who look at every applicant, or at least the list that tends to stand out to them, and the ATS doesn't give them the math that they trust. There are other recruiters who do use the formula and say like, okay, this is who I'm going to talk to. The unfortunate part is seeing the numbers hurts you more than it helps you, because realistically, if a job opens, let's just use easy math. A job opens, gets 100 applicants. 50% of those applicants are immediately not qualified. Going from there, 50% of those applicants meet the criteria that they're looking for. So now we're looking at 25% is actually qualified. And then like 3 to 5% of those are people that they actually want to talk to. So that means that you are looking at an application being like, oh man, 100 people already applied to this, I shouldn't try. When realistically, what you should be thinking is there's 5 qualified people who probably applied for that job. And if you can tell your story in a way to where you actually think you're a good fit for that, especially with people using the auto apply button or any other sort of apply for me jobs, it's just spam to the recruiter and they could read right through it. So that's where we want to focus on quality and not quantity, because the people who are doing the quantity game or the spray and pray, as they talk about it, are losing for reasons that are easy to prevent. There's my rant. I don't know if that's a place for you to start.
That's great. But I like to also take that and break it into like 3 easy steps to, you know, to I know a lot of designers are like, I want to show my design chops in my resume. And I know that that's not great advice right now or a great thing to do, but top 3 most important things for somebody who's been at this for a while to address in their resume.
Sure. The top 3 things. One of them, make it 100% width, full page. Don't try to add columns, because applicant tracking systems might not know how to cache columns. So make it 100% width in terms of the formatting. Number 2, you don't need a design-friendly version and an ATS-friendly version. Have one resume that is cleanly formatted so somebody can read it top down, left to right, and understand what your experiences are and what your like duration of doing those things. And then the third thing is make sure that your resume speaks to the value that you deliver and not the actions that you completed. Because I don't care necessarily about all the things that you could do. As a potential hiring manager or as a recruiter, they want to know, what are you going to do for me? So speak to the value that you delivered. Speak to, if you don't know quantifiable metrics, speak to the intended outcome of the work that you were doing. Why were you paid to do that work to begin with?
I always tell people either show them how you made money or saved money. That's those are 2 things they really want to know about. And I guess the next natural progression after resume is portfolios. And I mean, I've had Rupa Chaturvedi on here, and I think from a year ago, the portfolio expectation has already changed. So Morgan, you work with a lot of people who are early and trying to build portfolio pieces. And I know myself, my last 2 jobs were enterprise AI jobs, and I still haven't had time to put those case studies on my portfolio. And now they're saying, well, we want to see, you know, what you've built with Claude Code. We want to see what you're building in addition to the traditional portfolio pieces. So can you guys riff on that a little bit? Like, what's the expectation and just best practices, top 3 most important things, et cetera, et cetera?
My view might be a little bit contrarian to hiring managers, because I think that sometimes the expectation, from what I hear, is contrary to what we know to be really great practicing. So I think you have to tell a story in a portfolio. How you do it, how you show your progress, the things that you produced, that's all great, but none of it comes before you tell the story about what's happening in the world right now. What's it like without the problem solving that you've introduced? And nobody does it in a vacuum. Nobody should be doing it in a vacuum. You should be doing it with a cross-functional team, a team that's set to build a shared outcome toward something. And that's not going to be perfect. It's one tiny little timeline on a continuous timeline of forever progress, continuous improvement. And you got to tell that story. So there has to be a story arc. There has to be the hook to get you in. Let me capture your attention, and let me then hold your consideration by saying things that relate to who are we actually making change for, and what change did we introduce, and how did it not go perfectly, and how did we overcome adversity, and what adversity did you face as a team, and what's next, not a polished result of here's a platform that we built.
It's perfect.
Bye. Here's what we learned. We learned that it's messy. We learned that the results are mixed. We learned that we need more in this area. We need more in that area. How might we?
Morgan, to get specific, can you give an example of what you might see as like a bad title that tends to come across for newer portfolios versus how they can bring in that hook?
A lot of the times when I coach, I don't really necessarily spend a lot of time coaching portfolios, but I do spend a lot of time coaching storytelling.
Yeah.
And when I do, I play a role called the solution police, where if you are trying to describe a problem and you describe a solution, people, if you're watching this in TechFleet, you're probably rolling your eyes right now. Then I'm going to say, that's a solution. What's the problem? So if your title talks about the solution, that's a solution. So what? What's the problem? What's happening right now that needs to change? And what did you do about it as a team? How did you progress? That's the root of everything that we do, no matter what your job title is that you want to do. You all are problem solvers. We solve problems, we make change in the world.
If I may peel back just a little bit, just with the title of this podcast, how do I get experience with no experience? And align that with what you've been saying so far, Stephen and Morgan. You have to tell a good story. You have to show your functional history, your experience, everything leading up to this moment is going to add value to the job being offered. Where's the gap now? Like today, like new tools are coming in. Companies feel that tools are the means for showing a candidate is competent. Can you talk about that and bring us to the current state?
Yeah, Stephen, do you have a perspective on it?
I would say some of it is like the whole get experience that experience model also comes into how do you think too. So like this idea of, yes, we need to work to get money to pay bills. That's like societal nature of what we're trying to do. At the same time, it's like, what is the value or what's the purpose or why are you different? So everything that we have done is the result of who we are now and being able to reframe past experiences at any level. So some of the people that I work with who are making a career transition, it's like, well, what have you done that is transferable skills in a different synonym? Right. So for example, there's one person I was working with who was a teacher for a number of years. And it's like, well, you're dealing with a class of 30 crying kids is probably a lot easier than a group of 5 pissed off adults. Right. So being able to say like, what are the transferable skills or what is that knowledge gap that you can now use with what your new audience uses instead? So the outcome is what we're focused on. The focus and direction of the value that you contribute is what we're focused on. And then also you got to be a little bit scrappy to earn your stripes. And I think that's where it plays off with Morgan. I'll pass it back to you in here a second, that like cross-functional teams to where if you do it in a classroom, you don't have anybody to tell you that they disagree with you. You don't have anybody to tell you that it's not possible because you're working in a vacuum of a classroom. So being able to get a chance to find the opportunity to have somebody disagree with you, to have somebody challenge what you thought was perfect, to be able to defend your story in a way that it's all about how good you are at telling your story to convince somebody that you made the right decision. How does that play out? Morgan, go for it.
That's a great perspective. I really agree with that perspective. And I think that there's nothing new about the gap. The gap when I was trying to get into the field 12 years ago was the same gap that it is now. You have this giant space where all the things that you need to be able to get ready are super messy and you can't just learn about them in the classroom to do them well. And it doesn't take just you as a single person. You have to be in conflict with people and you have to make decisions together and you have to deal with times when people don't believe in what you do and they don't see the perspective that you bring to the table. And as uncomfortable as that is the way that people fill that gap. to get ready. And I think that is not just a tech industry thing. Like, look at doctors, look at what they do. After they go to med school, they go to a residency. They do they play a doctor. They are a doctor for however many years before they're actually given the title of a doctor. Because all the things that you can't learn in school are bedside manner, and dealing with pivoting, and dealing with adaptability, and dealing with things that have to do with the team that's around you of nurses or of surgeons that all need to also work together toward the same goal. And as a doctor, you have all the medical facts and you have all the technical skills, but do you have the adaptive skills? That's what you get in a hospital setting. And it's the same thing for lots of these types of jobs. And I don't think that it's ever going to be easy to do that. Like, it never is.
Just to ask us a subsequent question to this and dig a little deeper, we're describing project-based learning, team-based learning. Am I correct in this assumption? That's the basis of trying to create an environment where you can have a real-world simulation that can aid your story of saying why you're competent for a certain thing?
That's what I think. Like, something that makes change, something that ships change into the world.
Stephen,
the closer that it is to a business, the better, honestly. When it can have like real stake.
When these entry-level folks, one, there's like barely any entry-level positions. Meta just let go 8,000 people, and like I know that a lot of recruiters go on LinkedIn. Their LinkedIn looks completely different than ours, and they will specifically search for FangMan candidates. And like, how is a new designer supposed to compete with that? I think the level of I hate the word craft, but the level of craft they need to show in their portfolio has to stand out in a crowd who have that name recognition, the experience. Like, how are they supposed to even come close to competing? I know that's a really tough question.
I just had a conversation with a designer about this like 2 days ago. The market is so saturated right now with quality talent that recruiters don't want to talk to anybody if they don't have at least 5 years of enterprise level experience. For those traditional, like, you are a cog in the wheel of a massive organization and you've already earned your stripes. We don't have to try to vet you. We don't have to try to teach you. We can just put you in and keep going. Back to your earlier statement about the, like, if the job market was open and flourishing, then we wouldn't have to have this conversation. That's why boot camps were successful. Designers who've been doing this for 10 plus years have never needed to know how to tell our story because we were in such high demand that we can kind of do whatever we wanted and get placed and get paid. That's not the market anymore. So there is the element of those people need to tell a more attractive story of what they're doing. So the newer talent, the people who have less than 5 years of enterprise level of experience, can't get jobs in the traditional way that we were told we were supposed to. So what it comes down to is figuring out, where does your target audience hang out and how do you stay out of where that competition is? It's like the one designer, he's got 10 years of experience and he's like, I can't compete anymore. I was like, because you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. Like this, like, where do the people that you need to exist hang out? And like, he has a ton of experience. If you look at his experience, it was all startups or companies that didn't quite make it yet and like became really well-known brands eventually. So it's like, okay, well, where's the next fleet of those people? Where do you hang out with the startups or the YC-backed companies who need somebody who can do that and they haven't made it to the FANG level yet? If that's where you need to be, or if you are in that less than 5 years of experience, how do you get the experience? How do you go to things like Tech Fleet to earn your stripes? How do you look at family, friends, or people in your network who still need a website, who still need technology, who have an idea that aren't the fancy tech companies? That's just not where you should be hanging out right now because they are not looking for you. There are plenty of people who are, though.
So I'd like to see if you guys agree with the advice I give. One of the reasons why I built voiceofai.io was because I think designers need to get their hands and feet touching chat, voice, multimodal, vision, all the stuff, because I think eventually you'll need that full toolbox of skills. Do you agree, disagree? Don't want my feelings won't get hurt. Do you think it helps to have those extras?
I think it helps to, before you jump right into the tools, before you jump into your approach for hiring and your resume and your portfolio, you got to find your why.
Yep.
You got to find not just, I want to get paid. I want a financial secure job. What is your purpose that you're seeking that's larger than you?
And if you don't
have that,
if you don't know that yet, what do you enjoy doing? Like a lot of when I'm talking with designers, a lot of the conversations is what fills you up, not what you're good at, because those aren't always the same thing. Right? So like what fills you up? What are the things that you want to get paid to do? And that might help you define your why. And also it might change. Like you never hear me talking about the idea of a dream job, because I think that is false expectations. Like, what do you enjoy doing now? How do you get paid to do that? And how do you follow that journey or decide you don't like it anymore? Like if you go back to the dream job, I've quote unquote had my dream job 4 times. Once I got it, it's like, cool, I'm bored now, or I don't enjoy it, or it's not what I thought it was. Because society forces us like get your dream job mentality or get whatever it is. So back to Morgan's idea of like finding out your why. Not everybody knows what that is. Like we're told to go to college and know our major right away. And it's like, no, mess around and find out a little bit. Like experiment with stuff, treat it as like a buffet and go try different things. If you like it, go back for more. If you don't, you know what you're saying no to before you're just leaning into something that you don't understand.
So how does that convert to getting a job?
I think it converts.
Yeah, go ahead, Morgan.
Go ahead. You go first.
I was going to say it converts because you're able to have a bit more of a passion and an interest around what it is you enjoy doing versus the other person who shows up to be like, I just do it because I can. And like when you're trying to suss out who the story is or having that conversation, if your resume is able to convert to a conversation, which is the conversion you're really looking for there, like does the movie trailer want them to learn more about you? Can they learn that you're in it for reasons that are more satisfying to you? Or can they learn that you're in it just because you're in it? And
so
that idea of like having
in their quality. Sorry.
What was that?
You think that passion shows in the quality of work, and the quality of work exceeds expectations, so that kind of bumps them up to the level of the competition that is higher ranking?
I think it shows in the quality of interest of working with that person. Like when you're being interviewed, it's not just are they good enough, it's also do I want to work with this person? And if you come across with the level of like, oh, this person actually likes what they're doing, or this person actually enjoys it, or they'd be fun to work with, there's an element of differentiating yourself.
Yeah, but I think that starts at the point of actually getting interviews, and people are saying, 600 applications, 0 interviews. So it's almost a luxury at that point. Like it's almost a luxury to get an interview at this point. So prior to the interview, do those extra tools in the toolbox help you get those interviews? I guess that was the question I was asking.
They could. I think it comes down to if you look at a resume or if you look at a job description as being acceptance criteria for a project, how good do you show up against what they're potentially looking for? Don't meet 100% of the expectations. Don't do that. Like then you're never going to apply for anything. You're never going to get anything. Look at, do you hit 50 to 75% of what that job description is looking for? And then is it easy for somebody to realize that you hit those qualifications? And that's where it's like, okay, does this person show up? And that's the stat that I was talking about. Like if 100 people applied, 3 to 5 of them are actually worth talking to. So if you're seeing that like 600 people, it's just a math game, back to your earlier, like it's a numbers game. Your resume is likely not telling a story. And like even before we hopped on the recording, we were looking at some examples of just like, how do you know what resume to follow? How do you know what template to follow or style to make it ATS friendly? Like that's where the noise becomes rough. And I've heard multiple people who are like, oh, I hired a resume writer already. My resume is great. And it's like, your resume still sucks. Like, how do you vet quality? How do you know what works? And how do you test that out to be able to know that it works? And that's obviously a different game altogether.
I'm going to play the solution police here.
Yeah, go for it.
The tools and the resume and the interviews and your company that you apply to, those are solutions.
Sure.
The larger purpose that you explore drives your decision making. Look at look at us, all three of us, and all four of us, we're all taking a path that veers from a 9 to 5, and we're blessed with that. Like it's privilege. It's a privileged position to be able to do that. But why are we doing it? Why are we all individually seeking that thing? We made a decision to keep this going and keep the momentum going because that motivation is deeply inward in all of us for our own reasons, right? And the tools that I focus on learning are the solution after my larger purpose. So I recently dove into Lovable and built the TechFleet platform in a month. And the past 10 years of me driving product teams and orchestrating product work and delivering enterprise products, all that solution stuff had helped me do that. But the purpose remains, the motivation remains, and the problems that I'm trying to solve are the things that drive my energy spend. If you're applying to 600 interviews and getting nothing back, are you spending the right energy? Because are you seeking the right purpose? Are you spending all this time learning a tool that someone told you to learn, but you don't know why it's important? Someone just told you to do it, and then someone else will tell you to learn a different tool, give you a contrary opinion, just like everybody's got their own opinion. So if I tell you tool A is the best and someone else tells you tool B is the best, if you don't have a decision-making engine inside of you toward that larger purpose, you're going to be spending a lot of energy and burning out trying to like chase all this stuff. That's my motivation behind anything, any energy that I spend as a founder, as a product coach, whatever. There's got to be some type of like larger purpose behind that. I got to see that. And that helps me drive whatever tools I get into or whatever skills I want to learn, whatever practice I want to get into.
So we made it halfway. Sorry, Morgan. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say we made it halfway through the podcast without one mention of AI.
Good.
Which good for us, right? But it's really contributing to the shit show out there. And I think we talk about learning tools and skills and what's important, what isn't. And I think I always tell people all the time, what the most important skill in AI is knowing what to pay attention to and like closing out the rest of the noise. If I decided, 6 months ago, I want to be a designer, what would you say to me about AI?
Don't replace your brain with AI. Don't skip the fundamentals of problem solving and of scientific method. If you're trying to be a UX person, learn systems thinking, learn information architecture, learn interaction design, learn research, learn how to work with people, learn how to become adaptive in your workflows and flexible in your workflows, and then use AI as a means to an end. That's how that's my official, that's like my personal opinion. But no, I know other people have different opinions about it.
That whole AI native designer terminology lights me on fire. It's like, should we just ignore all the fundamentals, the 40 years of fundamentals that you're ignoring? Is it agent? Like, I just think it's one of those things. And one of the design leaders out in the world who I respect the most says it. And I had to call it out because I just think it's so reductive. That's just me. Other people think it's super cool, but I don't. But I think it's interesting because there's AI in your trying to get a job process, and then there's AI like I'm trying to learn this thing. So I think it's two different things. So as far as Morgan, you totally addressed learn your foundations. I totally agree with you. But using AI in the job process, can you guys speak to that a little bit? I know people are saying like everybody's website looks the same, everybody's resume looks the same, everybody has the same cover letter, everybody's deck looks the same. So can you, Stephen, address using it in your job process? And then we could also continue to talk about using it in your learning journey. But I think it is actually something that can save you a lot of time in the job process if you know how to use it properly. But I'll let you guys take it from there.
I would to transition with that. I think it's also using AI or tools as thought partners and not as the things that do the thoughts for you. So rather than assuming what it gives you is the answer, or rather than telling it to think for you, when you think about it, either in what Morgan was talking about or what your question is now around like how to use it in the job process, don't go in and be like, okay, here's the job description, here's my resume, write a cover letter to use it, and then just copy paste it to send. That's what's happening. The recruiters that I talk to are like, now we know if you didn't use AI and we want to talk to you instead. Because that content of like, okay, it all sounds the same, all the LLMs are about the same, all the materials are about the same. And it gets to become pretty obvious that you didn't try to put your own voice into it. You didn't try to interrupt it. You didn't try to add your own angle to it. And you're not challenging the norm of what it's giving you. Because as much as people think that AI can automate your life, at the same time, you need to be paying attention to the how much is AI hallucinating or how much is AI giving you false information. And the sad part is like at a whole nother level, people are starting to go to AI as like a therapist or a doctor. And it's like, oh, that's dangerous, right? So if we look at it in terms of how do you apply for a job or how do you use it to help create the artifact, what is your angle? What is your story? What are you trying to convey? And then get specific on where you use AI. Like don't have AI write your whole resume because it's going to give you a bunch of trash. Go in and say like, okay, I want to write these description statements stronger based off of this job description. You don't need AI to format your job title, your company, your location, your duration. Like those are stakes that aren't going to change. You maybe want AI to like tweak some bullets to be more attractive or like more outcome focused or more along the lines of what your value is. That's where you can use it. Or if you're trying to work through your LinkedIn profile and you're like, how do I write some sections? Don't have it write your entire LinkedIn. Figure out where and how you compartmentalize what you want the tool to help you with, and then work in that more of a micro interaction type of a way. And then if you go into your portfolio, don't have it make the entire thing. Look at what are the parts of your story. And if it is a project, if you're looking at the solution way that Morgan was just talking about, what is the journey you want it to help you craft? What's the story you want it to help you build? And then use those pieces. Don't just say, output, ship, done. It's like, cool. That's garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, I have some lessons in my featured section on how to use it as an extraction tool.
Yeah.
I think it's titled as how to be a thought innovator, not a slop generator. And a lot of it, even my talk that I do about using Claude for your case studies, it's basically using the AI to extract what's inside of you by either interviewing or quizzing or finding a way to pull it out, like use your words, right? Maybe let it help you organize. But another way too, I think it's been helpful for some people is I built this thing, it never shipped. Where can I pull metrics, right? You could pull metrics from your research, but if you're early, a lot of times it's really hard to know where you could pull metrics from. So I think that's another little trick that is very helpful. Like tell the story, even show the case study and say, my case study, this is my case study. This never shipped and I need some metrics. Can I get some ideas on where in this journey I could pull some metrics from? That one I think is helpful. But I think that people are doing that, spray and pray, speed, generate, paste. Mm-hmm. And I knew early in this AI thing that human crafted, I always say human craft. I tried to buy certifiedhuman.com like 3 years ago because now people are starving for human generated writing and human generated art. And now I think people who are applying are realizing we've come like full circle and people want your words and want your sort of human signature in whatever it is you're giving them. And that's the new, I don't want to say new, but that's what is making impact now, because you're sticking out from the crowd. And I agree, Stephen and Morgan. Do you feel like that we've kind of come back to that? Be unique, stand out in your own voice, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the pendulum is swinging. I use AI all the time, and it helps me get to certain parts, the language-based components of the full cycle of product design and product management, like an analysis of the research data that you can organize yourself and then feed AI. And I think from a voice and tone perspective, there's a mix of use that I have. Like, I often experiment with, I wonder what would happen if I had AI do this behavior-driven development scenario set for QA. Wonder what would happen if I built auto test with AI. And I try it and I see what happens. And then I iterate on it and I have a conversation with it, because it's good with language-based things. And it can be good with math if you get at the right libraries. But whatever I produce, if I don't have the nuance, I can't tell the story. If I don't know what the thing has produced, and if I didn't give it the data and the context, I can't tell the story and I won't be able to do my job. So I have to have a mix. Even if I have it present, all this really great organizational strategy that I built for TechFleet, I built entire narrative documents, but I can't just ship that to the board of directors and expect that to be successful, because I need to own that, and everybody on the board needs to own that. There still has to be a human element involved in that production. That's what I've learned. I've just started using AI maybe like 6 months ago, and I tried to take that approach, but that's what I've learned.
I just want to say, I feel a profound sense of sadness for someone who doesn't know what they don't know. A 22-year-old, 21-year-old, whoever is a new college graduate, somebody entering into the job market that is trying to be competitive, tell the story. They don't know what good looks like from the perspective of the people judging and weighing out if they can perform the function that is being procured right now. What are some tactical pieces of advice that you can give them just to frame that newness, without having to give them the sense of impending doom of not enough jobs, too many qualified candidates, I'm not going to get the experience. Where are the places that they can take proactive control over their career and development, and how should they position themselves so that when the job market restabilizes and there's a more equitable job to candidate pipeline, they can take full advantage of that?
Yeah, Stephen, what do you think?
One of the things that I say when I'm talking to people in a similar spot is going back to looking at job descriptions as the requirements document of what are things in there that you don't know, right? Like, not because you're going to apply for that job, but you're seeing it as if this is what they're talking about, go on and read through that stuff. Be like, I don't know what this phrase is. I don't know what this is, or these are things that sound interesting. How do I go learn more about it? And then when you go to networking events, or when you go to meetups, or when you start to talk to people who have more experience than you, stop asking for portfolio feedback. Stop demanding them to weigh in. That gives you the sponge of chaos where you start to absorb all these opinions and you don't know what to do with it. Go to them. And it's almost like the Pursuit of Happiness movie, where it's like, what do you do and how do you do it? Start crafting your own point of view of learning. Like, hey, I learned about this thing. Tell me what it is. And when they start telling it to you, envision if that sounds interesting to you. Do you want to do that? Talking to, even I remember early on in my career, when I was in college, I went door to door to upperclassmen. I was like, what are you studying and why? And that's how I learned about this career path. I was like, I can get paid to solve puzzles all day long in a digital way. Let's do that. I didn't know that career existed. Back to you don't know what you don't know. Talk to people, go to networking events to understand what they do and how they got into it and why they do it. Back to Morgan's of what's their purpose? And do you enjoy that? you will uncover things that you had no clue because you're going at it to be curious about them rather than selfishly getting them to weigh in on your stuff. Because your stuff sucks now and you're not trying to make it better because you don't have enough experience to even tell that story yet.
I think peer learning is a really powerful thing. You don't necessarily have to be in the room with someone who's done it for 20 years to learn from someone. I know a lot of people want that. They want that answer to come to them. They want that like one single really great piece of advice that, you know, we're not necessarily giving one answer here, but people want that when you're new. And I think having the exposure to working with people that also don't know what they're doing is such a powerful learning experience for you to uncover your unknowns. That, like, that's kind of the journey. That kind of is the journey that you need. If whatever environment you're in, if you work with other people that are like, hey, I'm also new, let's try to figure this out together. And if you can push through the discomfort, then it's better than having someone give you the answer. Because if someone gives you the answer, you rely on them. But if you build your own way forward through uncertainty, you develop your own way that makes you a stronger person, a stronger contributor, a stronger leader, you know, more confident, way more confident working through the muck with other people. So whatever that is, there's so many communities out there that let you do that. It's got to be real. But if it's with other people that don't do what you do, then you will learn so much from that.
It plays into the teach them how to fish versus give them a fish mentality. And also this concept of when you're coming out of academia, like you were just in school from 3 years old to 22 years old, and you're given a rubric that this is good or not, and this is the only way to do things right. And then you're sent into the real world to be like, there's a lot of ways you could do something. I don't know. Is it working for you? Do you feel safe? Do you feel healthy? Are you able to meet your needs? Then you're successful. So that definition of success is so debatable that academics, you're told like there's one right answer or there's one way to figure it out. And in society, there isn't. There's so many different ways to do it. So trying to figure out what is your way of doing it. How do you stumble through by learning how to fail a little bit, like learning how to fumble and having confidence that you could stay true to what you want to do and work through it in a way that you probably never expected how to get there. And that's okay. Like some of that early development is just figuring it out rather than being told like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to do it. It's like, no, you could get to there. And like, that's also why a lot of what we talk about too is this idea of outcomes over output. Like the quality of your designs don't matter if you're not achieving the same outcome, if you're not solving the right problems. So instead of staying focused on like, oh, I'm supposed to use this AI tool, I'm supposed to do it in this very prescriptive way. And that's what happened with a lot of the boot camp grads is they were told how to do something as if that's the way to do it. So they knew what outputs to create, and they had no idea what the outcomes were that they were trying to achieve or the outcomes that each of those outputs were supposed to achieve.
I also believe that, to add to that, I believe that people without any experience are way more capable than they have been conditioned to believe that they are.
Yes. Yep.
You've been conditioned in school. We've all been conditioned in school to be the follower, and the teacher has all the answers, and we don't know until we learn from the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're not ready for leadership or teamwork because we're not perfect. We're not ready for it. And that's the mindset that has to be broken before any growth can happen, really. And people will be surprised how capable they really are when they just get handed the keys to decision making and someone's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable, but that's kind of what we need that's what everybody who's in training, after training, that's what you need.
And the fear of consequences, or the fear of being wrong, or the fear of failure is a lot of where that resistance comes from. It's like, well, what if I screw this up? And it's like, well, what's worst case scenario that really happened? And then try to play off of that a little bit more to where like, yeah, make a decision. As long as you make an informed decision and you can support it with strong enough rationale, you're probably okay. It's just weird to be trusted. It's weird to be supported. It's weird to not be told that you did it wrong. It's weird to be like, oh, no one's contesting this? It's a concept that like we're just not used to, because to that point, like we're always told that there's somebody who's going to hold us accountable. It's like, no, you're accountable to yourself, and you'll find a place where you can be supported if you're somebody that other people can trust.
Yeah, or even if someone did chastise you, that's a natural thing. That's a natural consequence of continuous improvement. Even if you were held accountable for something, that's the journey. That's what you need to be able to grow, to fill that gap, to fill the gap between the classroom and the real world. To either hold yourself accountable, or someone judges you, or some conflict happens as a result of you failing. And that's not something to run away from. That's something to.
I think it's a job skill, right? Like if you're going to live through a design review, you have to be able to take that feedback and just roll with it. So I think that in of itself is a job skill for this field. We have 10 minutes left. We usually take some questions, but we don't have that many. And I really wanted to get to the point where you guys do a little future casting prediction. What do you think is going to happen? You got 5 minutes each. We do it however you want, but we have 10 minutes left. And I really want to hear what what I think is all over LinkedIn. I want to hear what you guys think.
Morgan, you want to start? I can go if you want time.
I think that we're all going to become business owners in our own way. And I think that the 9-to-5 job working for someone else is going to become like a varied perception than what it is now. And I think that we're going to continue to see patterns of non-traditional work emerge.
Do you think the enterprise model is in trouble?
What's that?
Do you think the enterprise model is in trouble?
No, I don't think it's going anywhere, because I don't think capitalism is going anywhere. I think it's going to keep growing, and that it's going to keep making its own decisions as a system. But what are we going to do about it as people? We got to make our own decisions based on a purpose that we believe in. So maybe that goes into healthcare industry, or maybe that's in the construction industry, or maybe that's something that is problem solving in another capacity, and that's not building software in the tech industry, but maybe building software in a nonprofit industry. Maybe
that's
building software in some other world.
Yeah.
Or hardware, or environments, or services, or systems. The world is not necessarily just built on problem solving for software. That's not what UX is. UX is the way that people interact with the world. And so you can do that in a lot of ways and still be a UX person as a teacher.
So do you think people should be niching down, or kind of keeping their wings spread for now?
Oh, I'm a biased person when you ask me that. I'm not niching down at all. I have always focused on the full cycle. And I like that, and I like the variety, and I like the going back and forth and being a part of different parts of that life cycle. And everybody's got to make their own decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I do think I see a lot of like, we're hiring for healthcare. We want you to have healthcare experience. We're hiring for fintech. We want you to have fintech experience. So that I was thinking more like along those terms. Do you think people should be pigeonholing themselves? Is it pigeonholing, or is it just niching down?
I mean, I just applied to a healthcare product owner role, and I didn't get it because they didn't like my healthcare experience before. Can't control that. I can't control anything outside of me. All I can control is the story that I tell and put my best foot forward.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm going to keep doing.
I just got recruited by a huge name, and they were like, "Oh, your AI experience, like you have, some blah blah blah." Everything really aligned, and then in the end, they were like, "You've never worked on a content team, and the hiring manager is really not okay with that." And I was like, "Okay." Like, you just never know what's going to knock you out anyway. And they wanted 9 interviews, and I was just like, you're all a sinking ship. Thanks, but I'm good. Okay, Stephen, it's your turn. Crystal ball time.
Yeah, I was checking the chat. It looks like somebody submitted a question. Do we want to try to address that, or do we just want to keep going?
Go
Crystal
for
ball
it.
time.
Go for it.
I don't know if I quite understand what the question is, though. It
Yeah,
says,
that was
okay. Maybe I don't. Yeah, then they're like, I have written my question. I don't know what the question is. So maybe that can come back later. I was like, wait, I saw a question mark twice and I don't know what the question is. So I digress. All right. So crystal ball time. What do I think is going to happen? I think there's a gap in the industry right now where they feel like they don't need to hire junior talent, or they don't need to hire newer designers. I don't like the word junior. They don't want to hire newer talent because AI might do it. And at some point, the current senior staff will age out, burn out, not be there. Who is next? Who's the next generation? And to Morgan's point, there are going to be people who are more entrepreneurial in spirit and will try to spin off and do their own thing and have different levels of success doing that. There are also people who feel more comfortable working for an organization. Some of the designers I talked to, like there's one where it's like, oh, I want to be an FTE because they feel like FTE is more stable than a contractor. And I was like, well, that's the narrative you want to tell yourself, but FTEs are getting laid off just as much as contractors are getting cut. Some contractors are even more stable because it's a different kind of cost line than an FTE is. So that the idea of like, there's going to be people who feel more stable working for somebody else. And then there's going to be people who are going to have that entrepreneurial spirit. None of those paths are wrong. It stays true to what does that person want to do and how do they get there? What I see happening is starting to happen a little bit. Some of the bigger companies like IBM has been talking about how they're looking to hire newer talent because they foresee that there's going to be a gap of all these companies who are laying off senior talent. They're not hiring anybody new. And what happens when, I don't know how long it's going to take, what's going to happen when they realize that these AI models aren't innovative? The AI models are giving the same thing all the time and they're not pushing the boundaries. They're not able to get into anything that's more exciting or anything that's more differential other than what it's repetitively told to do. So it's great if you have a repetitive task that you can outsource to somebody who doesn't make mistakes or who doesn't take time off because it's a computer who can run 24 hours a day. Like have those repetitive tasks, but then where does the innovation of that company go? And that is where I think newer talent now needs to just start earning their stripes for when that opportunity opens up. And that's what Joaquin was talking about a little bit too, is just how do they earn their stripes? Is it tech fleet? Are there other places to do it? Is it staying more creative and not going this stereotypical tech company route? Like I'm doing a contract right now at a grocery store company. They're not a tech company by any means. They have a digital need that's high in demand, right? So there's all different places where you can go out there and do technology related things. Don't stay focused on the shiny object that's all over the news. Stay focused on what do you want to do and where and how could you get to do it? Because eventually you could take the opportunity to move into something else. The market's just not there. Like the recruiters that I talk to, the stuff that's looking at, they're all 5 years of enterprise level experience. So wait until that calms down. And then the crystal ball that I see is there's going to be a massive flux of like, uh-oh, we have to fill roles and there's nobody who we think is qualified anymore because we didn't nurture them.
Yeah, I rail about leadership playing the short game and not playing that long game. And I have 2 people in my house who just graduated college and it's abysmal for them.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's abysmal out there, but we're a scrappy bunch over here, but that doesn't apply everywhere. So let's see, we have 2 minutes left. I'd love for each of you to just take a minute to kind of wrap up and give some words of advice before we finish.
I'll take this one since Morgan, you led the last one. Not to put you on the hot seat every time. Words of advice is stay true to yourself. Trust that if you love to do what you're doing, or if you're able to say no to the stuff that you don't want to do, stay true to who you are, stay true to what you want to be doing, and know that you can get paid to do what you want to do if you tell a good enough story about the value that you deliver to other people. That's the key. Like you can go out there and do what you want to do. If nobody sees value in it, they're not necessarily going to pay you for it. So how do you tell your story in a selfless way that convinces other people to want to pay you to do that? And if you want evidence, there's 4 of us right now who did exactly that. We stay true to what we want to do. We tell our story. We share the value, and people see value in it because we're talking about how we can help you do what you want to do. We do it in 4 different ways. We do it in different styles. There's people all over the place who have done that with different levels of success. So my parting advice is stay true to who you are and figure out how what you want to do can benefit other people.
That's good advice. I'll add to that. Not everybody will see the value that you're saying and bringing to the world, and that's okay.
Yep.
And whatever you do, don't believe all the noise that is kind of rampant in online and in hiring managers. Be careful what you choose to believe. Trust your gut, because sometimes you're getting gaslit.
And what worked for one person won't work for you, and that's okay too. Like
Yeah.
this whole like, oh, best practices is an industry made up term that's convenient when they want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
One way isn't always going to work, and it doesn't have to work. It's what your way is that works for you.
Well
Awesome.
said.
The only thing I would say or add to this is focus on what you can control. There are so many different things that people get flustered about, frustrated with. Why am I not getting callbacks? Why am I not? Why is my resume not good enough? How can I get experience? This, that, and the other. You can fabricate a project for yourself. You can go and, as Steven said, look at job descriptions and evaluate the areas that are unfamiliar to you. And you can go and read articles and practice skills and look at different methodologies. And this is all within your grasp. Hopefully, the job market shifts back into a stable place where it's more equitable. But in the meantime, we have to like reinforce and sharpen our minds until we're ready to get back into it.
Awesome. You guys are amazing. I hope this helps. I hope everybody out there has the best of luck and is taking care of their mental health in addition to their job search, because I think that is a huge, piece that doesn't get publicly spoken about that much. Like, take care of yourself. This is not an easy process. And best wishes to all of you out there. Joaquin, do you want to talk about what Swarm has coming up real quick before we head out?
Yeah, we have a 2-part event series called Swarms AI Triathlon, and we held the first part of that in May 12th, where we talked about how to become adaptive and adjust to change and all the different variables that are involved with the job market and adapting to it. We had the second companion to this coming up June 2nd, but we've shifted it up to June 23rd, Tuesday, June 23rd. And we're going to be covering how AI is impacting the research and design fields, industries, and how you can stay above board with all those changes. We hope to see you there. It's all freely available through LinkedIn Live and YouTube Live. So if you have a friend that might benefit from it, feel free to share.
Awesome. Thanks, Joaquin. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Morgan. I can't tell you how grateful I am for this. And we will see you all at the next DESIGNathon. Last Saturday of every month. We're here. We'll see you at the next one. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Sweet.
Thanks for inviting.